It's funny. I dreamt in French last night. Your mind doesn't know you're full of shit. You're subconscious. And when I talked to her, although I don't think she said anything in French to me. No. But I dreamt back when I was a kid and I had to go to school and wearing a little beret but the teaching point is that your subconscious doesn't know that it's subconscious, and it doesn't know. So one of the, and I had a lot of good memories from France. So another thing that flashed back for whatever reason, because I'm getting ready, I have some meetings about boots to suits, yet still trying to get it done. The millennials that interviewed me a couple of years ago were asking me, what do the guys, the big hitters, what's so different about them, and not dissimilar to the personality psychology of a high-performance person that we've discussed here for 2 days. And they said, can you give us a couple of examples? And I remember sitting in a room, there was 5 guys, 5 gals, and a guy came in late into the meeting. And I said, well, what are 2 things that, a very wealthy person can do? And I said, well, one thing is that if I asked one of the gals, does anybody in here have a business outside this thing? Or do any of your husbands have businesses? And so one of the gals said, yeah, my husband has in the pickle business. For real, I thought she was yanking my chain, but in the pickle business. And I said that, what does he do? And he manufactures pickles. And I think it was in Torrance, California, his pickle factory was, of all places. I said, yeah, and is it less than 10 million? And I knew it was 10 million, less than 5 million in revenue. And first I said top line, and they didn't know what top line meant. And I said revenue, sales. And so it was about, it wound up being $770,000 in top line sales. And I was trying to picture, we're in the fucking, because I'm familiar with Torrance, because Palos Verdes, where I used to live, is above Torrance, and I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out where this pickle factory was. Of course, the pickle factory is probably about as big as this room. And so they said factory, but not a factory. They're not, what they're doing is they're shipping pickles from someplace, but anyway, she called it a pickle factory. So I said, does he have any debt, or as they say in Europe, DEP? We still don't know why they call it DEP here in Europe, but anyway, do they have any debt? She goes, oh yeah, we have. And I said, do you service the debt? And she said, do we make monthly payments? I go, yes. She says, yes. So I drilled down, I'm asking questions, and then I said, have you ever missed a payment? And I'm not going to mention the bank, but she told me the bank. Have you ever missed a payment? She said, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we missed several payments. In a row? She said, no, not in a row. Because in a row, they may repossess your pickle factory. And I mean, her fucking jaw dropped out, like her fell out of her face. And then I said, have you ever missed 2 payments in a row? She said, yes. And I said, well, I can go to that bank and I can probably buy, well, maybe not because they owed $170,000. And I could probably buy the debt from the bank. And now you owe me the money, and I foreclose and take your pickle factory. And she and everybody in that fucking room turned, not white, but there's a couple of black people, so they didn't turn white, but they were dumbfounded. And she says, well, how long has that been around? Since Cain and Abel, or Moses, I mean, forever. And so she said, and so then and apparently they were about to get separated or divorced or something, so a couple of the friends of that little millennial group were telling her, well, we always told you he was worthless and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And, but that's something that's not taught in the B schools. The most famous case in recent years, and you're going to get a handout later today, when Carl Icahn bought the DEP from Donald Trump for his casinos in Atlantic City, and took over the casinos. And that was in 2005. But it happens all the time. But the average Nimrod doesn't know that. I'm gonna read you something today after the break that one of you sent me, that the National Association of Chartered Accountants just came out with their manual here. Chartered Accountants is like a CPA, and they're a professional organization. And in big bold letters, they're talking about what services they can give. And then they said cash flow lending, which is the basis of what we do, is not possible for companies that start up. And it says there, big. And I'm going to read it to you when we get it. And clearly it is. So the world of finance is filled with, remember that big pile of shit that I showed you, that dinosaur shit? Bullshit. The second thing, when I was talking to the millennials about boots and suits, they said, well, what else is different? And I said, well, I mean, most very wealthy people don't have budgets. They're impulse buyers, and which all the gals in the room like that, because gals are allegedly impulse buyers. So you saw Steve last night, Mr. Personality himself. And what are some of the takeaways about the Mr. John? And that's the second movie about Steve. The third movie's coming out next year, and it's going to be a fucking humdinger. Okay? Because every time they make a movie, it gets worse. The longer you're dead, I can't even imagine what the movies after I'm dead, what they're going to be like. But what about Steve? Yeah.
Fear always works. Much similar to what you've been preaching over and over again, he was completely indifferent to whether people liked him or not. And in fact, when one of his employees said, "I like you," he says, "Well, that's a shame because I liked you." So when he found out he liked him, he no longer liked him.
Correct. From his lips and my lips to the Lord's ears. You have no idea. And I'm not just talking about the personal development guys, what they think of you, because they just think you're fucking morons for buying their shit. But the high-performance people on this planet save the Pope. I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. Maybe the Dalai Lama and 4 or 5 others that are in the Bible-thumping business or the Quran-thumping business, but they don't give a shit. This shows you how distant your parents and your grandparents are from reality. They don't care. Not even a little insy-bincy. Until they get older and they're trying to paint their legacy, like we've talked about already, myself included, trying, just in case there is a heaven, we're going to buy our fucking way there. But until they get old, they don't give a shit. What else about Steve? Yes, sir.
People don't know what to buy until I show them what to buy. Which means that you create a perception that people will beg to do business with you.
And he was a master at that, yeah.
When you start getting successful, everyone starts fucking pouting around you and trying to make you more moral and bring you down. It's like a circle of pouting people.
Well, let's stop there. There's a teaching point. Morality does bring you down. And in the sense that you're creating jobs, you're creating, capitalism works. We're pretty much proving that. Plus, even China's turned to capitalism of a sort. Russia turned to capitalism. So we're creating jobs, gross national product, and we're paying. Well, some of us pay taxes, etc. But they want to cross it over with morality and moral issues. Remember, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, anything goes with QLA. And morality and ethics can swing in the wind, depending on where you are and which side of the table you are. Legality, where there is a rule of law, there's a rule of law. But then it's who has the best lawyers. to interpret that rule of law to either a jury and or a judge. But the people that you associated with heretofore, for the most part, maybe one person in your life hasn't followed that path. They find religion, which they say is the opiate of the masses. You know, whether there's a God or not is not really important. I mean, Lenin said this, 125 years ago, because poor people have to have something to congregate around. Why, we already know life's not fair, and a couple of you, unfortunately, have lost children, babies. If there was a real God, the saying goes in the Bible, that shouldn't happen and that kind of thing. So they congregate around morality, stroke religion. What else about Steve? Yep.
I might be wrong, but I never all that stuff.
Okay. And there's a message. Success leaves clues, except for one person that you're going to hear while you're here. They all sound the same. Every single solitary one. And I could have thousands of examples. I only use the examples, for the most part, that are commonly known, and in some cases I personally knew in my career. And you couldn't confuse Steve with the facts. He didn't give a shit about the facts. Whereas you hang your hat on a spreadsheet. And yet you still don't believe the spreadsheet because you run it 50 fucking times. And the numbers don't change. What else about Steve? Yes, sir.
When he found his biological father, he didn't say a word about him being his son. Left him oblivious to the facts.
Yeah.
It was important. So when he saw something he wanted, like that shirt with a breast pocket, he knew immediately without hesitation that that's what he needed. So like Ray Kroc, I guess, when he saw it, he took it.
All these guys, and these guys and gals that are up here on my wall of influencers, they took what they wanted, and then I lived in the wrong era. This is me. You have something I want, I hit you in the fucking head, crack your head open, and take it. That's my natural personality. Since I'm a little boy. And it's their natural personality. The thing that confines us now and them is the rule of law. Now, if you hit somebody in the head, you go to jail. But if you've got good lawyers, you don't even go to jail. Or you go to jail for a short period of time, or you go to a country club jail. What else? Yep.
Fuck those B players.
Fuck those B players, absolutely.
It's interesting, he's a really big picture thinker, but at the same time, he's into the detail, like the shark, the cube, it has to be exact.
Yeah, but he has engineers that are putting that into action. He's not sitting there with a slide rule or a drafting table. He looks at it and he don't like it, and he's going to go do it again. So that's true. But he developed a whole culture of manufacturing, a whole culture of marketing, a whole culture of sales, just based on the Apple. The idea about the Apple in its simplicity was genius-like. And we're going to see some of the stuff that he was involved in, and I did some stuff for Apple back a long time ago, and he tried to throw programmers out the window. He threw, in those days, the computers were big things. He'd pick up a computer and throw it right at you, right here, crash it on you. He choked people. Sound familiar? Anything else? Yes.
He cared about his appearance on a macro level, but not necessarily on an individual.
Yeah, and he wore black because he didn't want to waste time thinking about what he was going to wear. And Mr. Zuckerberg, I think, is kind of copying that, and there's a few others. And he turned to religion when he found out he had cancer, inoperable cancer. And we have some statements from some people that were with him when he passed, his stepsister, contrary to what's written on the internet about how he was sorry about the shite. He wasn't sorry about fucking anything. He only wish he fucked more people. And you're going to hear some statements from Wozniak, because one of my mentees is Wozniak's mentor, the Woz. One of my mentees is his mentor. And he's got stories about jobs, and you're just going to cringe. Cringe. He thought he was an alien. So does Bill Gates. They're special. And they are special. The results that they produced are extraordinary. They're beyond extraordinary. They transcend extraordinary. Now you compare their results, and they don't hang. They don't chill. They don't go to the Super Bowl. They don't go to the fucking World Series. They don't go to anything. As opposed to you. They don't go to the pub in London during the summertime. Any pub that's worth its salt, there are 25 deep outside the pub in the streets. They can't suck up the pints quick enough. Instead of being in the office. Anything else about Steve? Yeah.
When he was asked what he was going to do about helping his daughter, he said God sent his only son on a suicide mission, but we love him because he made trees, implying that no one would care how he treated his daughter because he was bringing the world.
Yeah, he's right. Nobody cares. See, only you care. I mean, even for retards, 50 IQs like you have, everybody that's anybody on the fucking planet says the same fucking thing that I've been saying for 2 days. Actually, I've been saying for almost 50 years. Yet, I look at you, I swear to you, we got to have the camera this way. You look like deers in the motherfucking headlights. Like you can't believe that Steve Jobs acted that way. What you're really saying in your eyes, I can't do that. That's what you're really saying. Dan's just reinforcing that everybody's an animal like he is. And I'm not an animal because I squat the pee through my vagina. That's what you're really saying when you look at me this way. Yeah, we've had most of the people up there are vaginas. What was the other thing you saw?
I did notice that even though he didn't care, he felt a responsibility as a role model to his daughter. And
after he accepted her. And he only accepted her after he saw she was smart. You notice that? Yeah.
She did the thing on the
yeah, as soon as she did that, well, that must be mine. And for those of you that have children, you don't have that luxury. Maybe you will someday. Okay, YouTube.